What is up, you guys, and welcome back to How to Love a Battered Woman, the podcast. I am your host, Nia Renee. Some of you guys know me as Coach Nia Renee. I am a certified relationship coach and motivational speaker. And as you guys can see, or if you guys are only listening to the audio, I have a setup for a special guest today. Super excited to have them on the show. Been begging and begging and begging and begging and begging and begging and begging, and I finally got them on the show. So let's get into it. My dad.
Hey, how are you guys?
This is my dad. He goes by Father V, aka Papa V.
VP.
So I'm super excited to have you on the How to Love a Battered Woman podcast.
Well, good.
Thank you for being here.
I'm excited too. A little nervous, but you know,
What
this
you
is
nervous?
my first one.
Oh,
so,
okay.
You know, and hopefully not the last one. There we go.
So how long have you known me?
Oh, let's see. If you calculate 30 years plus 9 months, so 30 years and 9 months.
Well, it wasn't 9 months though. It was 7.5.
Oh, that's right. Ooh.
So 30 years and 7.5 months.
Well, you know, we'll go 9 months. Because there was a little process that happened.
I don't want to know about that process. I don't want to know about that process.
Mm-hmm.
So we just gonna, chill, vibe out a little bit.
Sounds
ask
good.
some questions,
Yes.
talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been telling
Before you go any further,
Oh, go ahead.
Let me tell you
Yeah?
how beautiful you are.
Oh, stop.
I love you. And I'm so proud of you.
Oh, I love you too, Dad.
Yeah.
Thank you. Y'all, that means the world to me.
She's been very amazing since the day she was conceived. There was a time, and I hope you don't mind
No,
me.
go ahead. Do your
There
thing.
was when we knew that she was in the belly. I worked in the evening time, and so I would come home about 1 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as I came in, that's when she got active in the stomach. And I used to just talk to her all the time, and it's we haven't turned back since then.
No, we have not turned back since then. For a while there, we weren't on the same page, and I was telling my supporters, I like to call them my supports. As y'all can see, he's got the Battered Hearts sweatshirt on, because that's what y'all are called, the Battered Hearts. I was telling the Battered Hearts,
Mm-hmm.
it's been very cool, and just very it's shaped our relationship much better, getting to know you outside of you being my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And you getting to know me outside of being your daughter. So when we were able to let those barriers go, I think it's been able to help me understand why you made certain decisions that you had to make with me being here. Though I know sometimes we disagree about those decisions that you made, but I have a better understanding of why you've made that. And so I think it's very important that if you have a relationship with your parent, because a lot of us don't have relationships with both of our parents. You see, it's only just my dad. To get to know each other outside of that father-daughter or parental-child relationship, because you have a little bit more of understanding. And I think that's very important. So I think that's helped our relationship out.
It has. And, coming from a father's point of view, some of us do that. And, it was a moment that I had to just step back and go, you know what? She's not a child anymore. She's an adult. And I need to respect her like I would respect any other adult. And listen. And sometimes that gets hard because as a father, you may have one train of thought about where you think your daughter should go. At the same time, I'm not living her life. I just need to be her supporter. I need to be her cheerleader. And also, the most important question that a parent can ask is, what do you think you should do?
Yeah.
And then support that. You may not agree with it, but support that.
Well, and I think what changed too was I know that we've been through a lot collectively and individually. And so I think it helped when when I was able to express emotions to you, and instead of it being just shut down because it's hard for you to hear that I'm going through so much pain, it made it easier with the understanding of like, that's how I process things, is needing to be able to talk about that. And that really changed for us when I had my first brain surgery.
Right.
And I think it was hard because, so you guys know with how my mother, she always had something wrong with her. There was always something going on with her. It was always dramatic. So it was always a huge thing. But unfortunately, that kind of bled into my relationship with my dad, because when I wasn't getting any answers medically, you know, I felt like I was put in a little bit of an unfair perspective of like, well, she's being just like her mother. But I wasn't. I actually did have a lot of things going on with me. And so that changed for us when I had my when I had to have brain surgery. So what was your perspective? How did that perspective shift happen for you when you realized the severity of what was going on with me?
I think, you know, when we were sitting in the waiting for the doctor to come in or come out.
Was it the pre-op or when you got when I was in surgery?
No, pre-op.
Oh, okay.
Pre-op. And people kept coming in, ladies kept coming in, and remember that group therapy that we had.
Yeah.
And I was kind of sitting on the outside. No, I was sitting on the outside of the group. And it just dawned on me, holy crap.
You can cuss.
Okay, holy shit. This is real.
Yeah.
You know, because as a father, you always you want your children to be healthy. You want your children to be comfortable. You don't want them going through pain to the best of your ability. And it just hit me right then and there that this is real. And so I need to change my perspective. I need to change my thoughts. I need to change the way I am looking at you to be there to support you. So I'll never forget that group therapy that was going on
so
there.
We were in Detroit, Michigan, my best friend and my dad, and we were waiting for my pre-op appointment. And she was running behind because she was at the hospital. The hospital was 45 minutes away. And then the power ended up going out. It was just like a series of things unfolded. And there was a group of us that were either waiting for our pre-op or post-op appointments. We actually met a couple of people that I'm still really good friends with to this day. And it ended up turning into like this huge support group in the lobby. And my dad was just kind of sitting on the outside, and, you know, my best friend and I were sitting there, and obviously I'm scared, but I'm trying to hold it together. And it was the first time you'd gotten emotional about it because you realized what was like you said, you realized what was going on. But all of us, we had collectively, I think it was just the easiest for us to not think about it until we had to.
Right.
And that we didn't have to until we got there and we were really about to go into this. And so, I think that it was just, that was a hard time. And it hasn't been easier since with me medically because things had just continued to escalate. Mm-hmm. But let's take it back because I have a dying question.
Okay.
So I did a story time about how my birth mother tried to have me kidnapped with my uncle and that whole situation.
Right.
You guys can catch that on my YouTube channel and stuff. We won't recap all of that. But I have this dying question because at the time I was at home, you were at work,
right? And
work was like 45 minutes away,
right?
And it was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's during commuter traffic.
Right.
And my dad, it literally ended up saving me, pulled my uncle off of me. How the hell did you get there so fast? Did you leave when I first called you and told you she was on her way home, or like?
Oh, absolutely. There was not a hesitation. I can remember saying, stay on the phone. And as I was saying, stay on the phone, I jumped up, ran to my supervisor's office, said, I'll be back.
Okay. Because I've always wanted to know.
Yeah. She looked at me and I was all the way down the stairs, out running to my car, listening to you on the phone.
He was on the phone with, I never once hung up the phone. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to get emotional as this is the first time we've talked about this, right. I think. What was going through your mind as you're literally, I have the flip phone at this time, so it wasn't easy to hold. I'm only in basketball shorts and a sports bra. I never hung up the phone. And he's listening to me screaming, fighting my uncle off. What was going through your mind as you were trying to get to me?
Get there. Just get there as quickly as I can. Just get there. And I remember, I was hoping that I wouldn't get stopped. I was in and out of traffic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a movie that would show not necessarily a car chase, but a chase,
just a driving super fast. You were getting your what's the Fast and Furious on?
Yes, there we go. Fast and Furious 17.
Diesel, yeah.
Which they didn't record at that time, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was just I don't know, the man upstairs, the universe, just the situation was ideal for me to get to you. A lot of it is a blur.
Yeah, I mean, I can, and when I tell you guys that I will always commend my father for his ability to show restraint, because he could have ended my uncle's life and it would have been justified. But the only thing he did was he slid in between us. I'm laying across, the front seat of the car, and my uncle's on top of me. He slid in between us, got him off of me, and only grabbed him like this and was like, "What are you doing? Like, get off of me. Like, what is wrong with you?" And then got him off and then grabbed me, put me in the car, and took me away. I've always commended your restraint, because there have been several situations where you could have just, and tell us a little bit about what goes through your mind when, because I know you tell me, and I love what you say to me, and I want them to experience that, but how do you get yourself to have such restraint? I will always commend you for that.
The only thing I can say is that I think about, I need to be here tomorrow for her. I need to be here tomorrow for Nia. And that just keeps me under control, because my focus is you. And as long as my focus is on you and not on my anger or what I'm thinking, then everything is good.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's
Everything
amazing.
Is good.
It's crazy when you have my family dynamic, or our family, not just mine, but our family dynamic, right? You weren't raised like that. My grandfather was not that person for you. And my grandmother, she was dealing with her mental illness and stuff like that due to my grandfather. And so you just have become this man on your own, and you've weathered so many storms, and like I said, the strength that you just, it oozes out of you, and I just commend the way that you are able to just show your restraint. But yeah, so I mean, you growing up and getting to know your home life, and what going from your home life and how you grew up, and you didn't have that 2-parent household the way that it should have been, but you experiencing the domestic violence that you experienced or witnessed with grandpa and grandma, how did that kind of shape you to be where you are today, like, or even before you became a parent?
And that's an interesting question. I really haven't done a deep dive with that. I just know this, that women should be put on a pedestal. Women should never be touched by men physically. when I had an experience early on with my father and the direction I went mentally, which was very dark.
Yeah.
I swore then that I would never go there again. But what I would do is protect to the best of my ability. Because if I went to the dark side and stayed there, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not a wonderful place to be at.
Yeah.
And I couldn't justify the potential protection because it stops right then and there instead of carrying on and dealing with the future. It would just stop and working with the future, and that was important to me. I always looked forward. I always am looking forward. I try to have a plan in place, and if that plan doesn't work, then I modify the original plan and keep on stepping that way, because you know it's one of those things that you only have one opportunity in life.
Yeah.
And with that one opportunity, you need to make the best of it, and it doesn't always go the way you want it to. It's not always the best at that time. Still, you can have the ability and the will and the need to move forward.
Wow.
And modify and change to adapt.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been adapting all of my life.
Yeah.
Because I had no one to teach me. Growing up,
Yeah.
I did have somewhat of a father figure that I looked up to, and he had a lot of joy. And so people say, you know, well, you're always smiling, you're always laughing, you're always in a good mood. Yeah, that's on the outside, but on the inside, not always.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing for me to be positive about things, even when it's definitely negative.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's So what would you say was the hardest part about me growing up?
All of it, now that I know it all of it. And I was sitting outside thinking, you know, we as parents do the best with what we have. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. If I could have changed things, I would have. So it's one of those things that, again, looking forward, I have you now.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm here to be a part of you now, versus if the dark side had been there, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times in my childhood that I think the best part of us was when, and I talked about this, if you guys haven't got my new book, Letters to You, the best part about our relationship was when things were going crazy and you didn't know a lot of things were happening. So my father worked year round. My mother was a teacher, so she was off during the summertime, and a majority of the things that I endured at her hand was when he was at work during the summertime. And when she started driving me to school my 8th grade year, and we were driving my brother, they ended up swapping because I begged him. I was like, can you please take me to school, because I don't want to do this anymore. But then there was one morning I just kind of looked at you and you were like, what's going on? And I was like, and then I just started asking all of these questions, because at the time she was spreading rumors that you were gay and that you cheated on her, and that's why she lost her ovaries, and that all of these things. And I just never, I feel like I've always been very intuitive. Like I've always known when things were off or not right. And I just looked at him and I was like, are you gay?
What?
And then And then it kind of just like broke the floodgates from there of just us being able to talk to each other and constantly communicate about what was going on. And that only made her angrier. It just made her so upset that she wasn't able to manipulate me and turn me against you. There was one instance where there was 3 of us. It was my half brother, my half sister, me, and my dad and my mom. And one night I was laying in my bed and she comes in the room and she's like, we gotta go right now. And my dad was in the garage. That's where he just hung out and debriefed, does his own thing, before he, I mean, he's a probation officer. He was a probation officer. He dealt with a lot of heavy stuff every day. So he just needed his own mental space. Well, one night she tells us that we need to get out the house. We need to get out the house now because my dad's trying to kill us. And she snuck us out the back door and into the backyard. It wrapped around to a gate to get to the front yard, and she had us walk up the block. She was like, I'm gonna go back to the house, I gotta go get the car. When that happened, when she grabbed the car, were you inside the house or were you still in the garage?
No, I was inside. I had no clue that you guys had left the house.
Yeah.
When I went in, excuse me, it was quiet.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, you guys had gone to sleep.
Yeah, because it was like, what, 9 or 10 o'clock at night?
10 o'clock, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, sat down for a minute and then decided to go out, or I heard the garage door close. Mm-hmm. And that's when I realized the car was gone. I'm like, what? So I went and checked the rooms and nobody was there. Yeah.
So she took us to our grandmother's house and she was like, we just got to figure out a plan. We got to get out. He's trying to kill us. Did she say anything to you?
No.
I remember you calling my grandmother's house the next day. Do you remember what that conversation was about?
I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What? And disclaimer, there were no words stated, I'm going to kill my family. That made no sense to me, and I was just totally confused over that, except for I started to see that the game was being played on the kids, as far as me and hers relationship. And because I never yelled and screamed at her, I never raised my hand to her, I never, if anything, I would walk outside in the garage if we had a conversation or if there was something said that I just did not agree with. But no, to let you know, no words like that were said. So the conversation.
But there was nothing that even happened. Like you,
right.
She didn't even like nothing happened that night.
No.
She just did. It was weird.
It was very weird. And now looking back, there were some issues that she had that I'm being kind, that I was not aware of, or if I was aware of, I was avoiding them. So
yeah,
or not thinking that they were real.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this: the closer I tried to get to her to work on the relationship, the more distance was created by her as far as trying to get things together.
Yeah, she didn't seem like a very cooperative person.
No, there were some agendas that I was not even aware of. That.
What do you mean?
Truly, I think, for her, the relationship was over. And I didn't realize that. Or, I was trying to work things out with her, and she had already made up her mind and decided that for her not to be the fall guy, make herself look bad, let's throw everything on me.
Yeah, she was trying to throw you under the bus.
Oh, not trying to.
Oh, she did.
She attempted to.
Yeah.
And people would come up to me, later and going, what I heard about you, I don't see that in you. And I'm like, no, because that's not me. I mean, I that's not me. And again, in my mind, I had to keep moving forward because it was about her.
Yeah. And when I tell you the smear campaigns were huge. It got to a place where, because she worked in the school district that I went to high school with, and my dad was a probation officer. Like they're across the street from each other essentially, or not too far from each other, where
a quarter of a mile,
where they, where they worked. And it got to a place where she got pulled into a school board meeting, and she was told that if she doesn't stop smearing my name and his name, that they were going to have to terminate her, like a whole school board meeting. And I found that out after the fact. How did you feel when so they ended up getting divorced after she tried to have me kidnapped. They split, and our relationship was very tumultuous after that. But she had to go to my principal to ask him if she could come to my graduation, and I said yes. What was going through your mind when she was texting you the whole time? We did it. We got her here. Remember she was sending you those text messages as I'm graduating, but she had been absent for like 2 whole years.
Right. I just ignored it. It was irrelevant because I knew that I was there to support you, and you did all the work. I mean, you could have gone down a rabbit hole. You could have gone in a totally different direction, and you didn't. Your goal was to graduate, and I was just there to support you, make sure you got up, fed you, had clothes, whatever you needed at that time to do what you wanted to do and accomplish. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that I could have threw all of my crap on you, and I refused to do that.
I mean, I couldn't tell if if your goal was to ever like not let me know what was going on or how you felt, or I never knew. I could never tell that anything ever affected you. So you did good. You did great of not because I never, the only time I knew something bothered you was when you were served with that restraining order at 6 o'clock in the morning. He was served with a restraining order at 6 o'clock in the morning because after they split, he wanted to say hi to my half brother, which isn't his son, but he raised him since he was
6 weeks old.
6 weeks old.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the car, and he went to go say hi in the school gym, and the doors were open. I could see everything. Well, the next day or a couple days later, there's a knock on the door. It's a police officer who's getting served with restraining order papers because they said that he was trying to harm my brother and my mother. And we were very confused by that. But when the doorbell rang, you answered the door, and I could see it on your face, and you didn't say anything, but I knew something was going on. And on our way to school, I was like, what was that? And you're like, it's nothing. And I was like, Dad, like, you're literally about to cry. Like, what is going on? Because my dad's so involved with my life. He'd never missed a sporting event. If he could, if he was going to be there to support anything that I was doing, he was going to be there. So it was incredibly difficult that he had to drop me off at school 2 blocks away from school for like a week or 2 or however long it was.
2 weeks.
2 weeks during that whole process, because we had our whole routine every single morning. We've been very intertwined and very close in each other's lives. And so that was the one time I knew that had affected you, because not even just that, but it could have ruined your career.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yes and no, because yes, it could have if I had done something wrong.
Yeah.
The way it was reported and to the judge about the restraining order was totally incorrect. And so I did a little research and got in contact with a couple of people that said that they would come to court and testify, as to the situation that, quote, spurred all this did not happen. And you know, it was what hurt me the most was I could not take you to school and drop you off and say goodbye to you, come back and pick you up. I could not come on the school grounds.
Yep.
And that was very concerning to me because there were several situations where I had to come and intervene or come and deal with something that was trumped up about you and prevent an escalation of the situation that really did not happen.
I just think it's an unfair thing too, because it was almost like for majority, especially of my high school, career, after you guys got divorced, it was almost like you were my bodyguard in a sense, because it's like,
no, I was your daddy.
Well, no, but I mean, doesn't look at me like that. But I mean, in the sense of, because there were so many times that he had to come up to the school and address something. There were so many times where I'm calling him and I'm like, yo, she's on her way, and he has to come and intervene and intercept. And so it got to a place where wherever I was, my dad was. It was like there was not like a moment where, especially at my sporting events, I was a 3-sport athlete, so he was at every event, whether it was a home game or an away game. You were always there. It just it got so crazy. It was, and I had to stay sane. Yeah.
And I had to stay sane for you.
Yeah.
And to do my best. I'll never forget, I was working up in the mountains.
Yep.
On that Saturday, and that was the closest that I came to not coming to an event. But I talked to the supervisor at that time, and when I was working up in the mountains, they were able to allow me to leave, to get down to your event, stay there, and then
come back,
turn around and drive back up.
And I'll never forget too. So it was a track meet, and he pulled up literally as soon as I crossed the finish line.
Right.
So this is going to be a 2-part thing, because I do have a question about this. So I won the event, and so he gets there. My uncle, the same uncle who tried to kidnap me, was the track coach for the men's team. So he was there, but he was recording my event. So my dad goes up to him. He goes and watches on the camera with my uncle, screaming and yelling as if he was just like it was a normal thing. Grabs me, hugs me, and then runs back up to his car and drives right back up to the mountains. How the hell were you able to have a relationship with my uncle after that? Because he was the track coach. He was involved in my life until after I graduated high school. How did you get past that?
Well, I mean, it was all about you. I keep coming back to you. What do I do in the best interest of Nia? Because I could have been in the same situation where I could not come to the school if I had gone off on him, yelled and screamed. I knew the game plan.
Yeah.
So it's, not necessarily being the nice guy.
Yeah.
It's doing what I needed to do in the best interest of you.
Yeah, that was messy, y'all.
And it wasn't, I didn't like it all.
No. It was messy. I mean, when we look back at that whole time, it should be a movie. Like that was...
No, I don't want it to be a movie. I don't want anybody to have to. And I know that, there are situations out there that are 10 times worse. But this does not need to be a movie. I think this needs to be just an educational situation for fathers out there, mothers out there, daughters out there, sons out there, to know that no matter what you're in, if you keep looking forward and keep focused and hopefully have someone to support you, and the bottom line is supporting yourself.
Yeah.
You can prevail and keep on stepping. I mean, I'm sitting down here in Texas.
Yep.
And I live in Colorado.
Yeah.
And hey, if I hadn't of looked at what is in the best interest of my daughter Nia, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of staying focused, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
About everything. Everything.
You so cute, Dad. Oh, I'm proud of you too. You know what I'm saying? Looking back at the, and even like I said, us getting to know each other, and there are still things that you're finding out. Yeah. There's still things that I'm opening up to him about, and telling him that happened that he had no idea. Because there are times when I've done skits and stuff, that shows the dynamics between my mom and I. And a lot of people always ask, well, where is the father? Where was the dad? Where is your dad at? I'm like, a lot of this stuff happened when you were at work. That's like, right. and obviously nobody's going to say anything when you get home, because I'm going to be the one that paid the price for that. That's right. So there are so many things that, you know, he's just now finding out about 15, 18 years later that these things happened. So, but yeah, the dynamics were crazy. It's just a lot of things happened. And I think, I mean, you being a part of my life and me being able to rely on you. And even though we've had some, you know, we've bumped heads and we've had to learn how to reshape our relationship. And I'm always going to be grateful for that. A lot of the reasons why I've moved forward and been able to push forward is because I saw you be able to be so resilient, and I saw you being so level-headed, and I was like, I have to find a way to be like that as well. And the reason why, you know, I went and got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I'm working on my MBA, is because you paved that way for me. And I was like, if anything, I want to be like, I gotta be like my dad. I gotta go get my, you know what I'm saying? Because you have your bachelor's degree, is that human resources, and you have your MBA or you have your master's in counseling, right? Yeah,
counsel and social work. And
social work, yeah. So, you know, it's just something that I wanted to achieve because I saw my dad achieve it. And my dad went to school. He got his bachelor's degree with 2 kids. He had 2 kids. Me, I was fresh child. You know, went and got your master's degree while, you know, there was still 3 of us around. And, you know, your journey hasn't been easy, and
it's been blessed,
but it hasn't been easy.
You know, I take what's given to me.
Yeah. But it hasn't been, it's just looking back, I've always had him. I've always had you. Regardless of how hard things got, no matter what the situation was, no matter what, it was always you and I.
Always.
And I will always be very incredibly thankful and happy that you chose me, and you didn't give a shit about what, like, you put me first and you chose me. That's not because that's not what my mother did.
Right. No. And yeah, that was the most important thing. You were the most important thing to me. So,
Dad.
Still is. Will always be. To the day I die. And still after that.
Not you haunting me.
No, I won't do that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and this will not be the last time you'll see his face.
Oh no.
If there's anything that what's like the last thing you would want to say to the fellow battered hearts out there who are watching?
You know, and that's a good one, because there's a lot that I could say. Let me say this: love yourself. That's very important. When your gut is saying this isn't right, listen to your gut. Step back. You always have 2 choices, if not 3. You always have choices. 1, you could stop. 2, you can stop and step back. And 3, you can stop, step back, and say, why am I feeling this way? And evaluate that. Another person does not dictate to you who you are. Only you dictate who you are and can be. That's for sure.
He said what he said when he said what he said. Y'all heard the man now. Y'all heard what he said. All right, so I do this little sign off every single time. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of How to Love a Battered Woman, the podcast with my dad, V. Drink some water, get some rest, and don't let nobody's dusty ass child treat you any kind of way. Love you, battered hearts.